Now I'm going to talk about the in-game in PoE 2. Just like in PoE 1, we have a thing called the map device that you're going to be using to travel around. But what you actually get when you click on the map device is going to be quite different. Now, the storyline here is that there's corruption from the beast is spread across the land and you're going to need to try and clean it. Now, this is an infinitely scrolling map that goes in all directions and contains all areas you can go to. You can go to each map only one time. So you're going to you'll kind of try and want to find interesting places to go. Now, this is the primary thing to explore after you finish that campaign, and there's all sorts of things to find on here. Bosses, towers, beast corruption, rare areas, all sorts of game content that you can see, these icons for around the place, and hideouts, roving merchants, and even cities. Now, in order to travel to one of these, what you're going to do is clock on it, and then you can travel to it using a waste stone. Now, these waste stones work like maps could in PoE 1. You can craft them and so on as well. Once you've gone to the map, then what you're going to find is a randomly generated area. And we've really ramped the random generation up to 11. Obviously, all the monsters here are also going to be random. And one thing I will mention is that the variety of monsters in PoE 2 is a lot higher, and they have a lot more interesting abilities, which means that interesting combinations of them in maps can really produce interesting results. Alright, so once you've completed the map, it'll be green in this area and then effectively allows you to continue to explore. Now this map is kind of somewhat randomly explored, so don't concentrate too much on that, but you're going to be expanding outwards from the front, from the center. Now of course the other thing can do is craft maps with our currency items. So if we get an orb of transmutation here, we can use that on there to get a mod on the item. Now the prefixes are benefits to you and the suffixes are negatives to you. So this is something that will change a little bit how it works. So that means that you can just get a map that's just a straight up boon to you. If you turn into a magic with only one mod, but of course if you turn into a rare, you're going to get a variety of downsides and upsides, and all of them can have different effects. So once you've cleaned corruption from maps, then you can start to unlock the Atlas tree, which allows you to further upgrade your progression system for this thing. So here's the Atlas tree here. Now what I've actually done here is all the different types of content have their own trees. Each one of them is kind of like an sensory class, and then for that content, but there's also a primary tree that you get just for killing maps. So there's a tree here for cleansing maps. There's also a tree for killing bosses, and then trees for doing other content on the Atlas as well, so you don't have to choose between, rather you can choose to do a piece of content, but you're not going to be losing anything from any of the other pieces of content when you decide to do them later. They all have their own kind of scaling in that way. Right when you do a breach in your maps, one of the things that you might find that this is kind of important are tablets. Now tablets are items in your inventory that you can use with these towers. If you open your inventory there and have a look at a good place, so when you play breaches you might find these breach tablets, and what this does is effectively adds more breaches to maps in the vicinity. So this is add 8 maps in range, so 8 maps in range contain breaches, and breaches in your map spawn an additional rare monster. If you open a tower, it gives you this interface. You can put the tablet in there, and then when you use it, it affects the local area and adds a bunch of breaches around the place. So what that means is that all the content is self-reinforcing. If you want to play breaches, then you're going to find these tablets. You're going to use those to add more breaches to maps in the area and also boost what the breaches are doing, and then which will get you more tablets, which will get you more and more, and so on. So it's effectively a way to, if you're choosing breach is the thing I want to be doing, and that means that you can effectively self-sustain breach for as long as you want to and sort of effectively turn your map into that. And this is the true for all the different mechanics that you can find on the Atlas. You've got ones here for ritual and expression and delirium right there. Alright, let's have a look at the next one, which is ritual. So ritual is one of the other in-game grinds. When you enter map with this mechanic, you're going to find these ritualistic circles through the area. Oh, there's one right there, great. So when you kill monsters inside them, it effectively grants the monsters as tribute. And so when you summon the ritual, all the monsters that you killed within that ritual circle will spawn again. Next we will talk about is the delirium. It kind of affects your mind and starts creating all these nightmare creatures, as well as affecting kind of given these strange things for other monsters as well. So there's the delirium right there.
Your life will end, and you...
So as you can see, it infects your mind, and you get this, like, mysterious must that goes to the area. It both spawns new monsters, as well as affecting the existing monsters in interesting ways. There is one more in-game grind, which I'm not going to really talk too much about, but it relates to that little object there. So this is where the Uber Pinnacle boss is, and we can travel to the entrance, but we won't be able to actually get in because we don't have meet the requirements yet. But effectively, there are around the map various ways to get keys to be able to enter this area. It's kind of mysterious, and this is the hardest content in the game. So when you play the game, you'll have to try it out, but effectively inside this area, you'll be able to fight the Uber Pinnacle boss as well, and for the sort of hardest challenge in the game, that is something that I think players will really enjoy. So this is a sort of basic overview of how the endgame works. Thank you.